what the Great Reset, one of the plans of the Great Reset is to destroy at least 45% of the world's economy. And you, in the book, Silent Weapons for Quiet Wars, it's a pamphlet, you can get it a PDF online. And in there, the idea is to use silent economic weapons to wage a quiet war so everybody's brought under the sovereignty of the elite. You know, the age of kings and feudal system, basically. It's a communistic world, and it's dictatorship and tyranny like you wouldn't believe. But they always, you know, that's their idea. But it talks about the way you do that, you got to take out 45% of your economic base. And here in the United States, I don't know what it is in your country, in the UK, but here 45% of our gross domestic product is from small business. So I'm seeing the silent weapon at work here, taking out our small businesses. So they bring everybody to the verge of collapse. So the monopolies come in with all their vast wealth and basically, we'll loan this to you, but you got to surrender your house and your property to us, and we'll take care of you because we love you.
Interesting.
Yeah. Interesting on the world situation. In slide 49, the Defense Department has ordered the Nimitz carrier strike group back to the Middle East due to the threat of Iran. Now, Iran is intercepted, I forget which country it was, but they've intercepted an oil tanker just now and boarded it from a Middle Eastern country.
I saw that. I mean, they're poking the bear, right?
Yeah, they definitely are. They're daring us, and you know, we knew that the strike group was over there, but they're saying it's going to stay now. And if you look at slide 50. It says the Pentagon keeping aircraft carrier in the Persian Gulf despite earlier announcements when they were thinking they would let it go on its normal rounds. They're now going to keep it there because it was just touching base. And it says due to the recent threats issued by Iranian leaders against President Trump and other U.S. government officials, they have ordered the USS Nimitz to halt its routine redeployment. And they announced that on Sunday. It's going to remain on station in that area, which means they can launch missiles, aircraft, and all kinds of things against Iran. That'd be very close to Iran. Anyway, those things indicate to me that there are movements happening which may affect the presidency here. You know, if we have a war start, it's not a good time to be switching, you know, parties of rulership here in the country. It would put off the use of putting, you know, Biden in place if he does actually technically win.
I see. It's kind of sad to me is that I've seen it coming. I try to warn people on the radio and some of the videos I've done, and because I sensed it coming, and then I did the research and found the plans, and here they're here, and so other people are just now in the United States coming to the realization that our way of life is ending. And so a lot of people are scared, they're in fear. A lot of them are in denial. Some of them are listening to a bunch of weird individuals out there that are, I call it the controlled opposition. They're listening to that, and so they don't know what to believe. And so they're being gaslighted. And that's all there is to it. That's part of the plan. And basically what we have is a bunch of narcissists, it's the only way that I can put it, who want to control the world, and they're gaslighting everybody and controlling them, and they're training them. And so I see that happening in the United States. So people are confused. They don't know what to do. They're in fear. Some people are getting so terrified about this disease state that they're not thinking rationally. I've come across that.
That's ridiculous. And mentioning cash, the global economic situation is on a precarious balance at the moment.
Yes.
If you got money in the bank, you don't really own the money. The bank holds it, and they can assume it if they need to in a time of crisis. If you got money in your safe, it may be valueless when they go to Bitcoin type of economy, which has been mentioned in the press. If you have gold and silver, they may fail in value because you may not be allowed to own it privately when the New World Order starts making changes.
And it's really getting people just don't know what's going to happen, and a lot of people are crying and weeping because they see their entire life of their country and the future of their kids are not going to be prosperity. They see communism. And I have other friends here in the United States that escaped from communist countries like Cuba, and they're scared. They've seen this happen before. Some of the older folks, when my parents' age and older, some in the 90s now who've been through World War II, and some of our kids growing up in Germany, they're seeing it. They see this stuff and they're scared. They don't have a country to run to get away from it. They see the same censorship. They see the same Stalinist fascist plan that's been implemented. They're seeing it. And
so it's a time to be figuring, well, how much of my resources that I've got in cash and gold and things like that and at the bank, how much of that do I now convert to things that I would normally buy with that in a time of crisis, like food, and weapons and medicines and things like that. So it's a time to reevaluate the balance of your asset distribution because we are about to hit a really dramatic economic situation.
So, do you feel like we're at quite a pinnacle point of this whole agenda now, that we're seeing this accelerating, and that we may be close to some things happening in that regard?
I absolutely do. I think there's, according to Bible prophecy and what I've studied, we're about ready to launch into the birth pangs. I mean, it's the only thing I can say. We are so close that all I can say is it reminds me of sharks that smell blood, and they're coming. And they smell it too. They want this new world order because they are just totally brainwashed. They don't even know what they're doing. They think this is a good thing to be occult illuminant.
Could you look? I know you were ahead of the curve, even back in the 70s. But did you ever think you'd see this quickly?
Well, actually, when I first wrote The Cosmic Conspiracy in '78, I thought we might see it in the early '80s, and the '80s came and went, and it didn't happen. Then I thought, well, with a lot of other people, we're going to see it around the turn of the 21st century. No, it didn't happen, and I expected, among other things, the alien presence to be, revealed to the population, and that didn't happen. And now then, we're at, I think, what will be the last point in which I would say it's all happening now, and it's been a long time getting here. So, yeah, I knew it would come eventually, but I was hoping, or from the data we had, that it was going to happen earlier.
Illuminated. Their whole job is to replace Jesus, chop up the existing world order in little pieces and build it back better into a new utopic vision. In other words, you got to destroy the existing social order. You have to destroy gender. You have to destroy everything to make everything an equitable, more freer, sustainable world. And everybody can have long life and all this stuff. It reminds me of the devil talking to Eve in the garden. It really does. And try to hoodwink you into buying this lie that everything is going to be hunky-dory. You don't need Jesus. You don't need God. You don't need his ways. His ways are oppressive. They're enslaving.
Interesting. Yeah, it's almost like watching someone who's got a terminal illness, and then when they pass away, it's like even though you knew that day was coming, it does shock your system.
They're not free, and yet with Jesus Christ, the Bible in Isaiah chapter 1 says, "Come, let us reason together." The Lord loves to reason with us, and that's how he made us. He likes to reason. We have a free moral will. He likes to engage in debates with us and talk with us and lead us in the right direction. Let us make up our own minds in many cases, and so forth, etc. But the New World Order doesn't. It's tyrannical. It's satanic. They want to control and dominate.
After the election results here, whichever way it goes, America will be a house divided, and it will be perfect time, as I've said in the last couple of shows with you, for the Chinese and the Russians to attack us. And in this case, I think Iran would join them. If you read the news today about Iran threatening the United States over Soleimani's death a year ago.
Hmm.
America's got to pay, Trump's got to pay, that kind of nonsense. That will see the collapse of the United States, and that must surely open up the tribulation period, because with that vacuum in world power, China, Russia, and some Middle Eastern nations are going to all be trying to grab, a big chunk of the world power.
And so we're about ready to jump right into that. They are going, and here in the United States, I've never seen politicians with wild-eyed, crazy, demonic look in my life at some of these people. And wow. And that's what's freaking a lot of people out, because a lot of Americans haven't seen this insanity in politicians like this before. We might once in a while see one or two, but we see entire, at least 2/3 of our Congress have that wild-eyed look to want this and push for it. And it's like, it's almost, I always use this analogy. It's like these people who want to build a better world, so they burn down the entire city and they destroy all their farms, they destroy everything, and they're all happy and celebrating, and all of a sudden winter comes and it's 30 below zero, and they realize there is no fuel, no wood, nothing to keep them warm, and there's no food. And they have their OIC moment. This doesn't work. And that's what I see these people propelling us. We are right at the threshold, Dave.
So yeah, I think it's on our doorstep.
Okay, all right, and that's a great assessment from someone I respect, and
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
And I heard Australia, it's really bad, and I heard over here in the UK it's bad, and other places they're propelling it. This is worldwide. This is just not the United States. And that's why I say that all this is coming together in a way that I never thought would happen, though I taught on it, and now that I see it and I studied it and I know it's coming, I still am shocked how close we are. We're just on the threshold, and these people are insanely driven by demonic principalities and powers, and like Paul talks about in Ephesians chapter 12, that is motivating these people to do this. That's why spiritual warfare is really important now, because wow, we are just right there at the threshold. They have the technology for the mark. They can do a tattoo or do an implant easy enough. Klaus Schwab, like I read the quote from, he wants to put your cell phone inside your body, make you a transhumanism. It goes right back to the days of Noah. They want to change humanity. So that's what they want to do. They want to reshape and rechange humanity.
And DNA and everything like that. With the Alice Bailey and Theosophy that you mentioned, we know that it's an anti-Christian agenda underneath it all.